We hit this. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another GPAR virtual session. Today we are with Elizabeth Convery. My name is Brittany Baker-Schur. I'm your Director of Government Affairs and Public Policy for the Greater Philadelphia Association of Realtors. So let's jump in. Let's get started. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker here. Elizabeth Convery will provide you with tips on how to communicate like a professional, build your knowledge base so you don't stumble when someone asks you, what's going on in the market, and dress for any occasion that this business throws at you. She will share with you her many mistakes so you don't have to make them too. Please check your inbox for GPAR messages for upcoming events and additional virtual sessions. So Elizabeth, welcome. Can you
Thank
give us a little
you.
bit more information about yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. So I have been a team lead for 10 years now. I started an independent brokerage company called Very Real Estate in 2013. I partnered it with Compass in 2019. When I got started, I had never sold a house a day in my life. So imagine the confidence that I had to muster. I made a lot of mistakes, as you mentioned, Brittany, along the way, and I am now 10 years into this career. I came from the commercial world, which I'll talk about in my presentation, but I turned 40 this year, and my goal for this next decade is to make an impact. I run a team of primarily women, not by choice. Men are certainly welcome, but I just attract women into the role. And I thought, I coach them and I mentor them. And I thought, how can I do more of that on a bigger scale? And that's where this presentation kind of derives. So I'll get into it. I'm so grateful to do this for GPAR. I've been a member for 10 years now and very active. I used to sit on the grievance committee until I had kids and had to step down.
Very exciting stuff there. So yeah, let's jump into it. I'm very excited.
All right, awesome. So I guess the way we're going to do this, first I'll screen share and you guys tell me if you can see my screen. Yeah, you have a thumbs up there. So let me get into this presentation. So the way I think we're going to do this, Brittany, and you tell me, you can manage the chat if that works. Can you guys see everything okay? Is there like any blocking? I know sometimes the toolbar can block stuff.
It looks great.
Yay. Okay.
Yeah, so everyone, we're gonna save all questions. You can put them in the chat along the way, but towards the end, we'll probably stop with about 5-10 minutes here to do kind of like a Q&A session towards the end. Feel free to type those questions in throughout the chat. I'll read them. Or once we get to the Q&A session, you feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand.
Yeah, and I want to say, thank you for that, Brittany. I want to say part of this presentation and part of building confidence is really feeling vulnerable enough to ask a question. There are no bad questions. I will share with you some, like I've made so many mistakes along the way to get me to where I am. So if there's something that you are struggling with or you're thinking about, like pop it in the chat, because there are chances that somebody else on here is also having that same thought are probably pretty high. So again, thank you so much for having me. This presentation is called Build Professional Self-Confidence, even when you're new to the business. It's not just for new agents. I've presented this now several times, and I've had senior agents come to me and say, I learned something too. So that really warms my heart. So I'm glad to be here with you guys today. And for some reason, there you go, and talk a little bit more about myself and really my journey. So I got into residential real estate in 2013. I had been working in commercial real estate before that for 8 years. I was selling hotels in New York before I moved back to Philadelphia, which is where I'm from, to start my brokerage. And I found that I wasn't connecting with my work. I was making people very rich by selling hotels, but I really didn't feel like I was making any kind of a difference. So I came back to Philadelphia. I started Very Real Estate because 10 years ago, I didn't find that there was a brokerage that aligned with what I wanted to do, which was to provide an experience around the sales process. And I thought being on the residential side would really give me the opportunity, to affect lives. And I think all of us can agree that we are in an incredible position as realtors to be able to make a difference for people. And that's really kind of what brought me on my journey. I'm now a team lead with Compass. I run a team of 10 people, including myself, 7 licensees, a transaction coordinator. We have a leasing agent and myself. Over this 10-year journey, I married a man in the Navy, which I never anticipated being a military wife. It adds a whole level of complexity over and above everything else that we do, because we're consistently moving about, but figuring it out. And then my most important role is as a mom. So I have a son, Jack, who's 4, and our daughter, Catherine, is 10 months. And she has been a huge motivator for me in, showing women, as having now a girl mom, showing women that you really can design your own life. And, this is a career, residential real estate, where you can control your time. And I just think it's so critically important for us to support one another and do that together. So this presentation came about because I wanted to impact more people. So I decided to do more coaching and mentoring, and I've developed an online course, and I spent the whole summer researching what women in real estate need to be successful. And I went to Compass and said, my brokerage, and I said, women need professional self-confidence. I want to teach a class on it. And now I'm bringing the class to GPAR. So my goals for, hello, a little sensitive, my computer. My goals for today, I want you to walk away from this webinar feeling energized. I want you to solidly believe that you can take on the world, because we're women and we can. And I think that's so important. So that's my goal for you. My goal for me is I'd like to meet more women in the early part of their career who are ready to take it to the next level. I certainly know a lot of the agents at Compass, but I don't know as many throughout the industry. And I want to support women as they grow. And then the goal really is for all of us to create a community of agents that are committed to helping each other on our journey. We cannot do this alone. I think, one of the best things that I've gotten in my career have been mentors who have brought me up with them. And I'm bringing up people behind me, and they're bringing up people behind them. And if we can all get into that mindset that we're not competitors, we are literally here to support each other and grow together, we will go so much further. So let's create that community. Thank you for joining today and being a part of this. I love quotes, so you'll see them peppered throughout this entire presentation. Self-confidence, the best outfit, rock it and own it. How many times do you get up and you put on that outfit and you go out of your house and you're like, I'm going to have the best day? I want you to feel that outside of the clothing that you're wearing. I want you to digest how awesome you are and have that self-confidence and bring it to everything that you do. So here's me from then to, never selling a house a day in my life to, running a 10-person team at Compass. We were actually the first independent brokerage to come over to Compass in 2019. And we made the cover of Inman when that happened. It was really weird to go online and see my face there, but how did I do it, right? How did I figure out how to navigate literally never selling a house to, 10 years in, becoming the person that I am? And so much of it had to do with making a lot of mistakes along the way, which I'll share with you. And hopefully you will not make the same ones, but know that you will make other mistakes. And that's okay. It's part of life. Look at it as a journey and growth mentality around it. So when I started my career, I started in commercial real estate. I mentioned that, and I was an appraiser. And as part of being in commercial appraisal, we had to do a lot of cold calling. Does anybody like cold calling? Like, it's probably one of the worst things that we can, to me, it's one of the worst things. And I remember that I was in the conference room with a colleague of mine, and we were talking, and he's like, did you make your calls to verify your comps? I'm like, no, I didn't make them. I hate this. And he said, Elizabeth, comfortable is a couch. And that stuck with me because he was right. I didn't want to stretch just a little bit to do something that I knew would help my career. Validating comps as an appraiser is kind of an important thing. But I was comfortable not doing it. So how many of us have things every day that we don't do and we know we should do because it feels a little bit uncomfortable, right? But being in your comfort zone is not going to get you to where you need to go or where you want to go. So there's two reasons that people typically leave their comfort zone. One is necessity, right? The market has dictated that a lot of us have had to do things for our business to build our business. That's necessary, right? Like we have to feel a little uncomfortable so that we can build. The other reason that people leave their comfort zone is desire. They see where they want to go and they know the work that they need to do to get there. So I challenge you today, what is your comfort zone doing for you? Do you find yourself sitting comfortably on that couch? Are you ready to take the next level? So I look at a comfort zone like this. So many of us say, think of me, I never sold a house a day in my life, right? When I got started. But I wanted to be a big producer. I wanted to get to a level where, I was changing lives, I was affecting lives. But you don't go from there to there, right? You don't go from level here to level there. Because when we say, I'm going to go from 0 houses to 100 houses, that feels really scary. So what do? We stay in our comfort zone. We're afraid to take that step out. We're afraid to push because it's really terrifying. Well, 0 to 100 houses is going from a comfort zone to a panic zone. That's why we retreat. But if you can get into a mindset where you're just stretching a little bit every day from that comfort zone into that stretch zone. So instead of saying, I'm going to go from 0 to 100 houses, which is obviously not realistic at all, but I'm giving a big example. Say, I'm going to go from 0 to 3 houses. How am I going to get to 3? What are the activities that I need to get to 3 houses? Okay, 3 is now easy for me. My comfort zone has expanded. My stretch zone is now my new comfort zone, and my panic zone is my stretch zone. And then there's another layer beyond that. And so if you can think about your career in this way, where you're taking baby steps every day to push you to the next level, it's going to be a game changer for you. And it's going to naturally help you feel better about where you're going. So confidence comes from being brave and taking action. Confidence is an actionable step. You don't have to wake up one day and be confident. You can take steps, and I'll teach you the steps today to get to the next level of your confidence. So let's talk about it. We're going to do an activity where I want you to, write down on a piece of paper. We'll take, Brittany, can you time us maybe 2 minutes? For 2 minutes, I want you to write down all the things that make you unique in this business. Yeah. And don't pick up your pen for 2 minutes. And remember, nobody is going to see this but you. If you want to share it with a friend, with a partner, with your team lead, with me, with any of us, you can, but you don't have to. So be as bold as possible. What makes you unique in this business? Let's do this for 2 minutes.
Coming up on a minute.
You're a good timer, Brittany. Thank you. Fair
I
warning.
am. 1 minute to go. All right, 15 seconds, everyone. And stop.
Thank you. Okay. So this exercise came about because in 2013, when I got started, it was a very different market, very different than where it is now. And I had a buyer client who was looking to purchase a property in Old City. And he was coming in over the weekend to tour these properties. So during the week, I scheduled broker previews of these properties. And people weren't doing broker previews at that time. And my idea was, well, if I don't know, say, where the washer dryer is in this unit, or if the building has a gym, right? How am I ever going to be able to sell this to my client? So I wanted to do broker previews, but I can't tell you the number of agents 10 years ago who called me when I would schedule a broker preview and say, what are you doing? You're wasting the time of my client. And if you're not going to bring a buyer through, why should we allow you to do a broker preview? And it's interesting to me because and maybe all of you can relate to this, it really played with my head. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've never sold a house before. And now I'm trying to do something that isn't standard in our industry. And oh my goodness, and oh no, and what now? And I sat in the Starbucks in Old City, if anybody knows it, on 3rd and Arch, it's still there. And I legitimately really felt terrible about myself. And I took out a notebook and I said, you know what? It's not a bad idea to do a broker preview. It's not a bad idea to understand what you're selling. Maybe I am unique in this business. Maybe it's okay. And I did this exercise. And years later, I found my original list from 2013. Always remember you have what others don't. And this was my list. And each of you have a list. And until you feel that your unique qualities are enough to help you build the business, I want you to read that list every single day. What makes you unique? Believe it, put it in your gut, save it in your wallet, save it in your phone. Know that you're not going to have the same journey as me, as anybody else, but you're going to have your own journey. And your own journey is going to be genuine and unique to you. So the sooner you can understand what makes you unique in this business, the better off you are in building your confidence in the business and attracting the clients that you want. So all of your personal branding and marketing should flow from here. Be consistent in everything that you're doing. If these are your unique qualities, shout them to the rooftops. They're unique to you, and you will find clients who are like you. Like attracts like. If you're an ambitious person, you're naturally going to find other ambitious people to be around. It's a really important thing as you're building your business to understand and know what makes you unique. There are a lot of realtors. Everybody's going after the same listings, but how are you going to stand out? By being your genuine self. So I want to talk about the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence. So fill in the blank in your mind. When I was a little girl, I was told that I was not tall enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not popular enough. What are those things? We all have them, right? You don't have to share them, but we all have those things that have been ingrained in our mind. And that's how you show up for your life. That's your self-esteem. I can't teach you self-esteem. There are ways to build your self-esteem, right? There's all kinds of techniques, but I can teach you self-confidence. Self-confidence, remember, is actionable. But when you put self-esteem with self-confidence, you will be on fire. The self-esteem is what I call in this picture head trash. It's all the things that I shared with you when I was sitting in that Starbucks where I said, maybe I'm not in the right space. Maybe this isn't where I'm supposed to be. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not smart enough to be in this business. That's all head trash. And when I coach my team and you know my coaching, my group coaching that I do, I always ask people, is that what's really happening, or is this what you're feeling? Because it's your head trash and it's the stories that we create. But the self-confidence is what you do every day to show up for your business. So self-esteem is how you show up. Self-confidence is what you do when you show up. So let's talk about that. It's actionable. There are 5 things we're going to talk about today to help you build self-confidence in yourself in this business. Experience, which leads to credibility. Knowledge, which leads to expertise. Environment, communication, and image. Yeah. And when you put all 5 of these things together, and then you layer in the self-esteem on top of it, you have a powerful tool. And even without the self-esteem piece, you will take yourself to the next level. So authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. It goes back to your unique traits. You can't be anybody else but yourself. So you need to own who you are, and you need to own the unique qualities that you bring to the table in this business and really build that into your daily practice. So the first thing oh, hello, Elizabeth. So be willing to laugh at yourself. That's a good thing with self-confidence now. So the first thing, when you are building experience and leading to credibility, how many of us, when we get started, you haven't sold a house, right? You haven't really done anything. And it's sometimes hard to convince a client. Does anybody relate to this? Convince a client that they should hire you to sell their house if you've never sold a house a day in your life, right? Or they should hire you to be their buyer agent if you really don't know what you're doing. So building experience builds credibility. So what I want you to start embracing as you're building this experience is this we and us mentality versus I and me. So all of us, by nature of being realtors, we are salespeople under a brokerage umbrella. So you can, being a salesperson under a brokerage umbrella, leverage being in a company, being in an office, being on a team. So instead of, let's say you're on a team that specializes in Old City, I don't know, I'm just using an example. You specialize in Old City and you're going on a pitch and you have never sold a house a day in your life, but your team is the dominant team in Old City and the property that you're going to is in Old City. You should say things like, we are the dominant team in Old City. We have the largest market share in this area. We, instead of raising your hand and saying, well, I really want to be your agent, but I've never done anything before. So embracing the we and the us instead of the I and the me to showcase your experience and build your credibility as you are actually gaining real experience. Utilize third-party stories to show credibility. And what I mean by that is when you are talking with a client, listen to what your team leads are saying. Listen to some of the stories that have been told at your sales meetings. We have a client who, we could be the brokerage, we could be the team, we could be you and your colleagues. We have a party who, or a client who, let's say that you're trying to get someone to paint their house so that they can sell it. And you've never had a sale before, but you know that your team lead has, and your team lead has advised someone to once paint their house or update their flooring to get a better price. So you can go into a meeting and you can say, we had a client who needed to paint their house because it was bright orange, a nice white, soft white, and needed to update their shag carpeting to hardwood floors. So we advised them to do that. They did, and they sold the house quickly. That's an example of a third-party story. And it shows credibility, and it allows you to leverage the experience of your company or your office or your team to show how you fit within that model. It comes back to this. I've never scored a goal in my life without getting a pass from someone else. You were hired at your brokerage for a reason. You were hired by your team lead for a reason. Understand how you work with them in partnership to build your business. Right. The next thing you want to do, sorry, this is very sensitive, my laptop. The second thing you can do to build self-confidence is study the market. Think about when you're building knowledge so that you have expertise, you have to really know the areas in which you're selling. So here are some ways to do it. I find that many real estate agents we get our license and then we stop studying. And it's like, well, why? Right? You didn't get to where you are by just kind of sitting there. You studied for your real estate license. Now you have to study the markets that you work. So some ways that you can do that is attending broker open houses. You're here for a free webinar with GPAR. GPAR, Brittany, you guys are fabulous putting on webinars. I think there were 4 this week, right?
At least.
At least, right? So get in there, go back to school, make this a part of your everyday, is studying the market. If your brokerage has sales meetings, go. You're going to get a nugget everywhere that you go, right? Walk around the neighborhoods in which you serve. I remember when I started, I didn't really know a lot about the Center City market at all. And they would have broker opens on Tuesdays. I would go every Tuesday. I'd get my little free lunch, which, because I wasn't selling real estate, I appreciated that free lunch much more than ever. And I would get to know what $500,000 bought at that time in Logan Circle, or Logan Square, excuse me, in Fittler Square, in Rittenhouse Square. What did that look like? That gave me a ton of education. I would take one day a week and I would walk around a neighborhood. I had, when I was working in commercial real estate, I had this boss. He was like this crazy, crazy guy. And we were acquiring properties on behalf of like pension funds. And my market was California. So I would have to fly out to Southern California and I would look at properties that we would then bring back to the client. And this guy would not approve my expense report for my rental car if he saw that I had ordered a GPS. Because remember, over 10 years ago, we didn't all have the smartphones where you can pull up a Google map. You used to have to rent a car and then they'd put like a GPS thing on the windshield and it was so awkward. But he wouldn't approve the expense report because what he said was, how are you ever going to explain to a client where they're buying if you don't know how to get from point A to point B without looking at a map? And that stuck with me because how many times have we gotten people in our car and you're going from one place to the next and you're like, oh, let me put this into my phone. Doesn't look good, right? If you're going to be the market expert, you need to know, if your market is Philadelphia, you need to know which streets go east, which go west, what goes north, what goes south. Otherwise, you're going to be really embarrassed when you get in that car and you're going the wrong way down a one-way street. But anyway, the point is, study the market, practice talking about it. Here's some questions that everybody wants to know. What's going on with the interest rates? If you don't know that answer, start reading. Ask your team lead, ask your sales manager. People want to know, is it tough to buy a house right now? Is it as tough as the news says? And the answer is really, it depends. Who knows? Really depends on the market. Do you think if I sell my house, I'll have multiple offers? I wish. I don't know, right? So you have to be able to confidently answer these questions because your clients want to know them. And even if you just go to like the holiday cocktail party, people want to talk about real estate. They want to know these answers. So this is a great quote by a local Philadelphian, Ben Franklin. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. I promise you, if you take the time to invest in spending a day walking a neighborhood, read the news, understand the answers to those questions, you will really build your confidence in this business. The third one is environment. So I love this. Agent friends are for more than just happy hour. It's really important, the environment that you are in, and when you are a salesperson. You want to build a network of people who are higher than you, people that you aspire to be one day. If you want to build a team, hang out with more team leads, right? If you want to get into management, take a one-on-one meeting with your sales manager. Go up the ladder, but also go down the ladder. Talk to people who have less experience than you do. You will learn something. It's so important that you work with people every day who are going to inspire you. They say that you're the product of the top 5 people that you hang out with. I lost so many friends when I started this business, not because they were bad people, just we were going in different directions. They were staying on that couch and I wanted to get off the couch. And you know what? That's okay. Find the people that want to get off the couch with you. When you're a salesperson, your mindset every single day will make or break you in this business. And we have down days. I mean, we're humans, of course we do, but it's great to have that accountability partner, great to have that person that you can call who will help you to get through that. The environment that you're in is going to build your confidence. You're going to build shared experiences. You're going to find mentors and coaches. It's a natural progression in this business. Get involved with GPAR. You're obviously part of this webinar today, but there are plenty of things that you can do to build an environment of success. And that is critically important as you're building your confidence. Find a group of people who challenge and inspire you and spend a lot of time with them, and it's going to change your life. I can tell you from tons of experience, finding people who want to be successful salespeople will motivate you to become a successful salesperson. Communication is incredibly critical in this business. And I have to tell you, I think with the way social media has come about, casual communication is the norm anymore, but it's not going to lead you to business. You have to remember that many times the first thing that people see from you is your communication before they even meet you in person. It could be your first impression. So what do we do when we get a headshot? We all get our hair done, we get our makeup done, we make sure we have the best dress or shirt or suit on. But your communication of any kind has to be as polished as that photo. And I want you to keep that in mind as you're building. Don't underestimate the importance of picking up the phone. I think we've all gotten into, a mindset of texting one another, and so much can get lost in that. Polishing up your professional communication is really, is absolutely critical as you're building. It will make you feel better as you're building your confidence. And anything that you're doing, you have to understand what your end goal is, right? So why am I talking to this person? What am I trying to achieve? What am I trying to understand? And that's so important as you are doing, hello, gosh. I always laugh that I'm going to one day absolutely have to get like a real mouse instead of my little touchpad, because I do this all the time. So sorry if you're getting nauseous as I'm moving. Nauseous. All
I
right.
always use a real mouse.
You're so
Always.
smart. You're so smart, Brittany. Use a real mouse. Okay. So the good thing about communication is that it's a skill that you can learn. It's like riding a bike or typing. I mean, you can get better at communicating. I was an absolutely terrible public speaker. And when I was in grad school, I was in a business plan competition, and I didn't think it was for a class, and I didn't think it was going to go anywhere, but we actually ended up in a top 3 category. So as a result, we had to present our business plan to senior alumni of the school. Like CEOs of major companies came to be the judge of this presentation. And I went into this classroom. You think about a college, a stadium style classroom. It was a U shape. And it was so full of people that people were sitting on the floor. And I was the first one to speak at the presentation. And I opened my mouth, and guys, nothing came out. Nothing. Blank. Total blank. Has anybody done this? Staring. And a woman, one of the teachers, was sitting in the front row, and she literally stood up, picked me up, and put me in the chair. And she said, "I think you're going to pass out." I hid in my dorm room for like a week. I was so mortified. But communication is a skill, and you can learn it. And I thought, a week later, we were graduating, and I was the class president in grad school. And all the parents were coming in for the weekend for graduation. And I was supposed to give a toast at this event that we were giving. But I had been hiding literally for a week. And I thought, you know what? I owe this to myself, but I more owe this to my classmates to toast them in the way that they deserve. So I overcame my fear. And then I overcame my fear again. And I kept pushing out of that comfort zone and further and further. And now I speak all the time. And it's something that I'm now comfortable with because it's a skill that you can learn. And I think that has been really a game changer for me. And so I challenge you, if there's something that you fear that is going to help you get to that next level, take the baby steps to go there. So this is what professional correspondence looks like. It properly addresses the recipient. I know this sounds basic, but I can't believe some of the emails that I get from people. It stays focused and on point. If you are writing an email that has 6 different paragraphs, pick up the phone. It has grammar and spelling, and it's 2023, almost 2024. You can spell check everything. Do it. Be neutral in your tone. This is a very emotional business, and your clients know that. And so you have to be the calm and steady hand in everything that you're doing. Remember, it all goes back to, what's my goal in this communication? Why am I doing it this way? It doesn't ramble on. It doesn't have unnecessary emotion. And oh my gosh, guys, don't give me more emojis than you give me words, because we see that in this business a lot too. And you're like, what are these people talking about? I don't understand. So when in doubt, when you are communicating, if you're in doubt, read the email out loud, read the text out loud, understand what the tone is. If you're not going to pick up the phone and you're actually going to put all this in writing, which is fine, make sure that there is no doubt that it will be delivered the way in which you want it delivered. And if you're concerned, phone a friend, read it out loud to them. It will help you. The final bit of, the 5th part of professional self-confidence is your image. You want to make sure that it tells the story that you want to tell, or others are going to tell the story that they want to tell about you. So we've all heard the adage, dress for the role that you want to have. If you want to be a team lead, how are team leads dressing? Look around the office. If you want to be a sales manager, how are they dressing? If you want to be a $25 million producer, how are they dressing? Your wardrobe is critical. It's, unfortunately, we live in a world, and I hate this, where people are making an assessment of you within the first 10 seconds. And so you want that to be the assessment that you want to present. Your wardrobe is critical, but you can't, I don't know that many of us can really go out and dress to the level that we want to overnight, right? Clothes are expensive, take the time to build your wardrobe, and don't underestimate the power of a token piece. I'm sure you know Barbara Corcoran. She's on Shark Tank now. Barbara Corcoran started a brokerage in New York a million years ago called the Corcoran Group, which she sold for like $50 million, something crazy. She tells the story in a book that she wrote that I love. The book is called If You Don't Have Big Breasts, Put Ribbons in Your Pigtails. First of all, do you think that Barbara is like mortified by that title in 2023? Like, I'm embarrassed for her. The book is actually no longer in publication, probably for exactly that reason. But anyway, Barbara shares this story that she had no money when she was working in New York, none. And she went to Bergdorf Goodman and she bought this incredibly expensive coat, and she wore it to every showing, and she looked shabby underneath. She said it was a mess, the clothes that she actually had, but she wore this very expensive coat everywhere she went. She told the story that she wanted them to see until she could actually get to where she was going. So think about that, but don't put yourself into debt, obviously, over your wardrobe. It's not worth it. But remember that your car reflects your image too. We're in a business where we all drive people around, right? Most of us, all the time. What does your car say about you? I shared that I have small children. So I was taking out this super high profile client in my car. And so I tell my husband, look, we've got to get the car seats out. I need to take the car in, get it cleaned up. Yeah. So we do all the things. We go to this condo in Philly. I meet him there by foot. My car's in the valet out front. His wife and daughter are with us. We get into the car to drive to the next thing. He puts his wife in the front seat, his daughter in the back. He sits in the back. And he gets hit in the head by this little toy worm that was hanging from where the baby's car seat was. And I'm like, So when in doubt, use humor. And I said, oh, how funny. I forgot to take that out. It is what it is. this is really basic. Grooming is key, but like it really makes a difference. This is one of the only businesses that I can think of where you have to take your shoes off when you're at work. Think about that. You go to a showing, you have to take your shoes off. It's wintertime. If you have socks that don't match or have holes in them or are like a hot mess, people are noticing that. Again, this sounds ridiculous, but it's so incredibly true. Your image tells the story. Tell the story that you want to be told. Here is a sample of, an agent wardrobe foundation, things that you can buy, whether it's at H&M or you want to spend a little bit more money and, go to Nordstrom's or Macy's or whatever. What do you really need every day? A blazer, a raincoat. I mean, my gosh, we are in and out of the elements at all times. Blouse, you can high-low, all of these things. Pants, dark jeans, some dress that you can throw on with a cardigan or a blazer, whatever it might be, a nice bag, a good heel. And we're very lucky fashion allows us to wear sneakers in this business, so why not do it? Dress shabbily and they'll remember the dress, but dress impeccably and they will remember the woman. And it's so incredibly true. So as you're building your business, I want you to celebrate the wins. And in the beginning, like your win might be that you added a person to your database. That's a win. Celebrate it. Everything is a win. When it comes back to building your mindset, who are the people you're hanging out with? What's the environment that you're in? How are you showing up every day? Any and everything is a win. Embrace gain thinking. Instead of saying, I wish I were here, turn around and say, yes, but look how far I've come. It's so important, especially as a salesperson. The way that you show up every single day will make or break your career. And take those agents that you've met, take those coaches, take those mentors, and share with them what you're going through, the good stuff, and laugh about the bad stuff. Because the reality is they're probably going through it too. And I want you to only look back, oh, hello, to see how far you've come. Because you are going so far with where your career is, where you want it to go. The fact that you're here, you've showed up for this, you're continuously learning. I thank you for that. I would love to connect with you. Here's all my contact information. I live on Instagram. You can follow me there. My email, my phone number. I have a coaching course that I teach called The Confident Agent. It is geared towards women in the early part of their career to help them design the life that they want. So I'll take questions.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I
Oh,
love
Brittany,
that.
thank you.
That
I
was
so
excellent.
appreciate it. I hope you learned something.
I'm not an agent, but I definitely can relate to a lot of what you said. I think it's so pivotal and really on point with a lot of the things that especially women deal with in the industry. I actually have a question. So you mentioned about, the 5 things that help build your confidence and everything.
Yeah.
Have you experienced imposter syndrome where you
Oh,
feel like you're getting ahead and you're making all of these, you're reaching all of these milestones, but in the back of your head you're like, do I really know as much as I think I do? Or have you dealt with that?
oh my gosh, yes. I think, people who tell you that they haven't are probably lying. I think we as women particularly, we all have moments like that where you feel that you're just not good enough, that you're not supposed to be in that room, that, whatever it is. That goes back to the self-esteem, right? It comes back to the things that you tell yourself. Ways that I've been able to push through that, I read an absolute ton. Like I'm happy to share a reading list if anybody wants anything. There's a great book called The Confidence Effect. It's written by a woman named Grace Killalay. And she's actually a local Philadelphia woman. And I've met her a few times. But it is a great way for you to recognize what imposter syndrome is so that you can kick it to the curb. Because we all get it.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know, we aren't alone in that at times.
Not alone.
What other questions do we have, everyone? Feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hands or just unmute. Oh, we got one from Stacy. Go ahead, Stacy.
Hi,
I don't know if
Stacey.
this is actually a question, but I appreciate what you said about wanting to mentor people who are young in their careers. But then there's someone like me. I have been a mentor for my previous career. I was an accountant,
Mhm.
and it was very, very important to me to mentor young women. What about women my age who are transitioning to a new career?
Are you
Because it's
saying,
a
can you be a mentor or you need a
no,
mentor?
no, no. How do I find, like, I'm completely transitioning my career at this point, and I'm looking for positive feedback, creative ideas, constructive criticism. But obviously, I can take the skills I had in my old position and transition them over, but it's a completely different job.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So some of the things that I've done. So when I started my career in commercial appraisal, I was the only woman on my team. I was the most junior one. I was the only woman. So I started to look for organizations that were in real estate, but had more women in them. So I got involved and then I started showing up. So I got involved with Crew, commercial real estate women, and started building friendships and networking that way. So I encourage you, to find other women who maybe aren't necessarily in the exact same field as you, but so I see that you're with inspection professionals. So are you in a sales role?
I'm marketing for a home inspection company. I'm an
Perfect.
affiliate member of GPAR.
Yeah. So
And
I
when you
think you could look for other marketing professionals that aren't necessarily with inspection companies, but might be marketing for a brokerage or maybe marketing for a team. And I wouldn't get hung up on age at all. I mean, it's amazing. I've been, I'm 40, I told you. I learned something from people who are 25, people who are 30. I mean, it doesn't matter. I never look at the age. I just look at the experience kind of and really the camaraderie that you can build because you will learn something by being with them.
See, and I think that's very interesting because way back when I was actually, when you said you were the first woman or the only woman, I was the guinea pig for a large public accounting firm. I was the first flex time woman ever to come back after having a baby and not come back full time. And
Wow.
what the negotiations and the banker's hours and the negative comments and all of that, I would love to take that and do like a women's something to encourage young women who have young families that, you can not have it all, but you can learn how to find your own balance, and whatever your balance is, then that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. And so that's the thing. If you don't find an organization, start one. Start it.
Point.
Be brave.
Okay.
Don't be afraid. There are
Good point.
people that you can mentor and you'll learn from them.
Yep. Oh no, listen, I think you can learn from everybody, but
Mhm.
I thought you were great today. So I wanted to say
Oh,
thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much. Other than my scrolling.
What else do we have, everyone? What other questions you got?
Here's my
All
girl
right, well, I have
Cheryl.
another
Hi, thanks for
I have
joining
another
us.
one.
Yes.
Yes. I have another. So you mentioned that you're very big into Instagram and how image is very important in building your self-confidence. In terms of social media, how do you learn to stand out in terms of your social media? Do you recommend having like your own personal account or page, and then also having like a business page? What are
Mhm.
your thoughts there?
Yeah, so I'm not big into social media. I will just say like I live on Instagram because I feel like I have to, right? Like we all
Hmm.
have to be there. But I'm building that account. So I have a personal Instagram. I used to have one Instagram. It was one Instagram. And then I started having children and I kept putting pictures of my kids up there. And I was like, I love putting, and on my business page, there's pictures of my children. If you follow me, you'll see it. But I thought I am flooding these people with like my cute kids. And that's just not really the image that I need to show here because I need to still show that I sell real estate and I'm a coach, I'm a mentor. So I did create a separate, I made that a private account and I created a separate public account. But the way I look at it is you've got to be authentically you. I mean, I think Instagram and don't get me started on it. But I will say I think Instagram, a lot of people are posting things that aren't reality, right? But people are attracted to people who are real. And so if you go on my Instagram right now, the pillars that I post about are being a team lead, the real estate market, being a powerhouse working mom, because I am that, right? My coaching business and mentoring, and then I post about confidence. Those are the 5 things that I theme all the time. And I can't tell you, the ones that get the most like discussion around are always the stuff about my kids and like the stuff like being a working mom. My son came to me the other day. I was like, so probably a year ago, he comes in with his play phone and he's got it on his ear and he goes, shh, I'm on a business call. But you know what? I could pretend that didn't happen and not post about it, or I could post it, because how many moms have been in a situation where their kids are watching? And the way that I wrote, and you can find the post, but I wrote and I said, I actually thought that I was upset by it at first. And then I was like, no, I am so proud that I am showing my little boy that mommy has a career and mommy takes her clients seriously. And so I feel like it's a model. So yeah, so my Instagram is very real as much as it can be in, an
I love
Instagram,
that.
but it is all on the same filter. So there's the image that comes into it.
Right, right. Well, before we let you go, does anyone else have any final thoughts or questions you'd like to pitch to Elizabeth? All right. Well, you did see the slide with Elizabeth's contact information, everyone. Feel free to reach out to her. Elizabeth, thank you so much for
Thank
having
you so much
done
for
this
having
presentation for
me.
us. It was
Thank
very,
you.
it was very fun. I love it.
Good, good. I
So this
enjoyed
will
it
be
too.
available on Instagram or on our YouTube channel. Feel free to rewatch if you need to, and please reach out to Elizabeth. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Cheryl, great to see you too.
Hey, you too. Take care.
Bye. Happy holidays, everyone.